Good evening, and welcome along to the big show here on NVTV. Hope we find you well this evening. Now, coming up, we've got another great lineup of guests, including TV presenter Anna Richardson. We're going to be talking about some of the money that we've been saving during this lockdown period.
And Belfast Businessman Tom Smyth, will be talking to him about his new life coaching book, Fearless, and new music from Sarah McQuaid.
But starting things off, as always, we're going to take a look at some of the more quirky news stories that have hit the headlines during the week. We're joined on the line by Tina Calder. Tina, how are you?
Hi, Tina.
Hi, Robin and Pauline. How are you guys?
Good, really
Very
good.
well. It's been a while since we've done this on TV, hasn't it?
I know. It's a long time, so it is.
Right, before we get into your stories, I want to start with a story about a local council in England that has gone viral across the internet. If you think we got problems here in Northern Ireland with our government, you want to see what's happening with the Handforth Parish Council. They had a meeting recently on Zoom. The councillors ended up trading insults and started removing each other from the discussion. The meeting was foul-mouthed at times and was punctuated by semi-hysterical laughter as the tone steadily deteriorated. Now, Jackie Weaver, she's become the star of this. People have described her on Twitter as comedy gold, and apparently now they're even talking about giving these guys their own TV show. Let's take a look at the clip first. Here they are.
This meeting has not been called according to the law. The law has been broken.
It has been properly
Will you
called.
please let the chairman
Mrs. Weaver, please.
speak?
If you disrupt this meeting, I will have to remove you from it.
You can't.
It's only the chairman who can remove people from a meeting. You have no authority here, Jackie Weaver. No authority at all.
She's just kicked him out.
I-
No, she's kicked him out. Don't. She's kicked him out. Don't.
This is a meeting called by two councillors.
Illegally?
They now elect a chairman.
No, they can't because the vice chair's here. I take charge. Read the standing orders. Read them and understand them.
Dear me.
Appalling behaviour.
Chairman gone.
A copy of this will, in fact, be sent to the monitoring officers.
So there we go. That's the Handforth Parish Council. Tina, what do you make of that?
Honestly, when I saw on Twitter the other day, I couldn't stop laughing, and I actually must have played it about 4 or 5 times because it was like, is this real? Is this? I thought it was a comedy sketch at first, and I was like, it really looks real. And then the guy cracking up because he's the vice president. I think that was my favourite part. And it sort of made me feel better about all of those other, Zoom calls that I'd screwed up, or, times when, your dog's scratching away in the background, for example.
Like
Right now, yeah.
So I feel much, much better about all of my Zoom screw-ups as a result of the parish. So thanks, guys.
So if these guys were given their own TV show, would you watch it?
It would be a bit like Gogglebox. You wouldn't be able to help yourself. It would be really addictive, wouldn't it? But what would worry me is that they would go on their best behaviour, and then you'd end up in a scenario where, you weren't getting that comedy gold anymore.
Yeah, it was sort of, because it was, they didn't realise that it was going to be put out to the public, so they were being themselves. But you're right, if they suddenly were being watched constantly, they're not professionals, and therefore they probably would be really, really good, and on their best behaviour. But I thought it was hilarious. Your woman, she got quite power hungry with that. The way you're able to mute someone. I thought that was hilarious. And your man did. He went mad, and under their breath, the swearing under the breath and all. Yeah. Very
it's
funny.
Not the kind of behaviour I expect from a parish.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it?
Tina, what's caught your eye this week? We're starting off talking tattoos, aren't we?
Oh, this one's hilarious. So there's this woman in Australia who, like many of us, has an issue with her left and her right. Now, the number of times I've been on my way home and I have sent a taxi driver up the wrong road just because I couldn't work out my left from my right. But this woman has taken it one step further. Her friend decided to write physically on her hand, the left and the right. They were doing a scavenger hunt or something like that. And she decided that it was so good that she went and had it tattooed on. So she now has an L and an R on her two, sort of, just here on your hand. And I just thought to myself, I'm not sure if this is nuts, certifiably crazy stuff, or whether this is the most intelligent thing this woman has probably ever done.
But she could have just did what the comedian Jimmy Cricket did years ago. He had his two welly boots on, if you remember, and he had the L printed on one and the R printed on the other one. That's the way to do it.
I can't even believe that people find it difficult to remember left and right, but I suppose it's one of those things that we're not all good at everything, so I suppose that's quite a genuine thing, and that could be difficult for someone.
I have to actually sometimes, especially if I'm thinking about something else and I actually will go, that's the right. I'll pretend to write and then go, oh, this is the right.
Right, moving on. What else have you got?
So, honestly, I'm not even sure I can say this. I can't say it with a straight face, that's for sure. So, a woman in Canada, Canada, like everywhere else, has got lockdown. They've got like curfews and stuff like that. And the only reason that you're allowed out is to walk your pet. So this woman, her and her husband got fined nearly £900 each because they broke curfew. And she told the police that her partner was actually a dog and had him on a leash. This is true. Honestly, this was in the Metro newspaper. And so she turned around to the police and says, well, I'm just walking my pet. My husband is my dog. Uncle.
Oh, I've heard it all now.
Yeah, Isabel is her name. So,
Can you imagine me taking him for a walk? Oh my gosh.
Right, Tina, we're off to Hollywood now.
We are. So there were 6 people arrested in Hollywood. Now they claim the reason they did this thing was to raise awareness for breast cancer. But what they did was they sneaked up to the Hollywood Hills and they changed the Hollywood sign to read Hollyboob. And it didn't last for very long. I haven't seen any real pictures of it, but the LAPD have charged them all with misdemeanor trespassing, but they've said that there was no vandalism because the sign wasn't damaged, and they didn't get to leave it up. So who knows?
Aww.
Now, it sounds like one of those pranks that teenagers might get up to, which leads me on to this next survey. And this is the reason why we need to get our kids back to school when you hear this. A new study says clueless teenagers believe that Delia Smith, Jerry Hall and Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall, were among Henry VIII's wives.
What?
That's what our kids believe these days, right? Showing the lack of knowledge emerged in a study carried out among 11 to 16-year-olds, which also found many are unaware of the gunpowder plot or which countries were involved in World War II, right? This is brilliant as well. Others thought that TV builder Nick Knowles built the pyramids.
Now you're winding me up.
And they believed that William Shakespeare was the chairman of the BBC.
What?
Right? It gets even better than this. They thought as well that Rod Stewart and Alan Sugar were among World War II prime ministers. Other things the teenagers thought, they thought that Anne Frank was an American chat show host, and they believed that the plague, which killed tens of thousands of people in 1665, was a heavy metal band. They also thought that Emmeline Pankhurst was the founder of the Body Shop, or she could have been an X Factor finalist or the owner of Miss Selfridge.
Oh my goodness. And they have to be taking the piss. Like these kids have to be thinking, I'm going to mess with this survey. There's no way they genuinely are that stupid.
But no, I believe this, because if you think about it, kids don't even know what an old telephone is these days. If you showed kids an old dial-up telephone, they wouldn't have a clue what it was.
There's a great video online of this American dad, and I think he shakes like some money and he says, if you two can make a phone call on that, and they're lifting it and they're putting it down and they're like touching it and stuff, and they didn't know you had to go the whole way round and then let it go the whole way back. Well, they didn't know this, and they were just completely dumbfounded by this thing. And I remember watching it thinking, number one, I am really, really old, and number two, how can you be that stupid that you didn't work it out?
Well, you know what I don't understand? You've mentioned they need to go back to school, but don't you learn all that in school? And who Shakespeare is, and the Henry VIII's wives, that's all part of your schooling. I mean, what schools are these people going to? Do you know what I'm saying?
You can find all this information out on TikTok.
To be fair on the teachers at the schools, they're clearly not listening, because I'm sure the teachers are actually teaching them the information that they need to know. So naughty school children.
Indeed. They want to take a leaf out of Logan's book, don't you? Because you've got him on Facebook and social media all over the place doing stuff. Your son, haven't you?
Yeah, so he released he's big into art, and he released his little book recently. We couldn't find a book for children to draw in and then write something on the other page. And you know the way you had those in school? The only ones that I could find looked like school books, and so I didn't want to kind of bring that idea of school books into his personal love of art. And so now he has his little range on Amazon, and he's already designing some more.
Wow.
Oh, I think it's brilliant. It's so good.
And as a mother, how are you coping with the whole homeschooling thing at the minute?
I'm very, very lucky. Kieran, my partner, is a musician, and so he hasn't got a lot on, because other than he's recording an album at the minute. So he has taken up pretty much all of the homeschooling duties. So I'm sort of stuck in the little box room upstairs, and I just dip in and out. So I'm one of the lucky ones, but I do have friends who are really struggling. I've one friend, she's got 4 kids. Both her and her husband work from home. They're literally on shifts. You take your lunch break and do this homework, and I'll do this. And I don't know how anyone's coping with it. I think there needs to be more done to support parents who are having trouble with the homeschooling, because I know that if Kieran wasn't able to do it, I think I'd be jumping out that window. Honestly, I wouldn't be able to cope. I'm bad enough at the homework, let alone an entire day of school.
Well, that's the thing. I think parents, because they're put in this position, I'm sure there's lots of parents who are not comfortable with schoolwork in themselves, because it's been so long since they were in school, or they just don't have the confidence. I mean, so I guess it's about trying things out. I loved some of the ideas where parents were, teaching them how to cook and things that they could actually do, doing a little bit of gardening, last year when it was the summer. Although I think it's more difficult now because it's winter, the nights are dark, it's just tough for them. I really feel for parents with children right now.
That's one of the things with us. What we've tried to do is make sure that we focus on the things that Logan really, really loves, and help him sort of nurture and help him get those talents to where he wants to be, because we're not teachers. We're not going to pretend to be teachers. We're never going to be as effective as teachers. So what we want to do is we want to make sure, well, where are the areas that we can actually help and support him? And I think he was out sewing something there with his daddy the other day. And, he does his art class now. Once a week he does his drama, once a week he's got some activities with his circus school and stuff like that. So I think that's where you have to kind of not be obsessed about completing every single little thing the teacher sends through. Like we do the main things, the main sort of literacy of maths, but there was one day they sent through some dancing thing, and Logan was just like, I'm not doing that. And I sent a message to the teacher, and I just said, he won't do it, he won't engage with it. So I've told him he has to do 10 minutes on the Wii Fit instead. And she was totally cool with that. But I think that's where you have to sort of work out what works for you, not just kind of trying to do everything as it's presented, because it's not always possible.
All right. Well, sadly, we're out of time, Tina. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to your little dog in the background as well. What's his name?
This is Ozzy. Yeah. The belligerent old fool that he is.
Well, he's lovely because he's looking at the camera and everything. I mean, he was scratching for a while, but look, he's totally looking at us there. It's so funny.
That's what he does. He scratches and wriggles around when he wants attention.
Oh.
All right, Tina. Great talking to you as always. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Tina.
Thank you.
Okay, let's have some brand new music now, and something new from Sarah McQuaid. This is called The Silence Above Us.
The silence above us, the comfort in darkness, pale clouds in a blanket of sky. The light from my window, the trees lost in shadow, we'll likely have frost later on tonight. It's cold, I should go back inside where I know that it's warm if I sit near the fire. And as I stand shivering, the mist from my breathing forms tendrils of smoke that drift lower and higher. Orion, the hunter, is low in the sky. The guiding star is blue. I ask myself yet again, what is this world coming to? The silence above us, the green earth beneath us, abounding with power and life. The bushes are rustling, the small birds are settling, hunkering down to be safe for the night. Orion, the hunter, is low in the sky. The guiding star is blue. I ask myself yet again, what is this world coming to? As the night becomes colder and darker, more stars will appear in the sky. Tiny pinpoints of light, shining steady and bright. The silence above us, the comfort in darkness, pale clouds in a blanket of sky. The light from my window, the trees lost in shadow, we'll likely have frost later on tonight. Orion, the hunter, is low in the sky. The guiding star's blue. I ask myself yet again, what is this world coming to? And what can we do?
Great new song, that's called The Silence Above Us from Sarah McQuaid, who I'm pleased to say joins us now on the line from her home in Cornwall. Sarah, how are you?
Well, Robin, thank you. It's lovely to be talking to you.
Good to be talking to you at last. I can't believe we've never had you on the show before, but you're currently in Cornwall at the moment, and I suppose for anybody in lockdown, Cornwall's the place to be, really, isn't it?
It is. It's lovely. It's nice, low population density. We like that, and it's beautiful. I just went out for a walk this morning. It was actually sunny, which was quite a change from the usual.
So tell us about the new song. We just saw the video there. That was recorded in an old 11th century church in Cornwall, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Well, parts of it date back to the 11th century. I think if we're going to be really pedantic about it, it's mostly 15th century, so it's not all that old. But yeah, it's a beautiful church just up the road from where I live. And because I couldn't have an audience, I thought, well, the place is going to have to supply the atmosphere, you know, so I really wanted to do it somewhere where I felt comfortable. And I actually sing in the choir there in the church most of the time, so I'm used to singing in there. And it's just a beautiful, stunning setting. And I thought, well, you know, even without an audience, hopefully we can still get some of the magic into that.
So is this new song, is this going to be part of an album that you have coming out?
That's right. I recorded a full concert, basically, minus the audience, in the church. So it's going to be quite a long album. It's 72 minutes, so I'm hoping we can do it on an LP, and it'll be a double LP because it doesn't all fit on one. But I'm going to wait to bring that out until later in the summer, and I'm still hoping that I could actually do some touring in the autumn, which would be really nice because I haven't been able to do that since last March when everything got cut short. I was on tour in Germany and it got cut short. But I thought a good way to kind of stay connected with people who like my music would be to just keep releasing one video after another and kind of make it a series and have a little live launch event for each of the videos where I can chat to people in real time. And we did the first one there for the launch of that video, and it worked out really nicely. And I hope we have even more people for the next one.
So over the years as well, you've been a regular visitor here to Belfast in Northern Ireland, haven't you?
I have indeed, yeah. I've played at a few different venues in the area. I was supposed to be playing in Belfast just last May, was it, as part of the Cathedral Quarter Arts Festival. So I'm hoping I can do that next year. And also at the Ards Arts Centre just outside Belfast in Newton Ards.
And you actually got the Lifetime Achievement Award there as well, didn't you?
I have, yeah. They had me to play at their Ards International Guitar Festival, and you could have knocked me over with a feather. I wasn't really expecting a Lifetime Achievement Award, you know, not to be vain or anything like that, but, you know, I kind of, I thought I wasn't quite old and grizzled enough, but I guess I am. So that was just amazing when that happened. That was a couple of years ago at the Guitar Festival, and I've been back a bunch of times. And at the Cathedral Quarter Festival as well. Two wonderful festivals right in the Belfast area that I've had a privilege of playing at a few times.
You actually lived in Ireland for a time as well, didn't you?
I did indeed, yeah. I lived in Dublin for a long time, and then after, or just before my first child was born, we moved down to County Wexford, to just near Gorey, County Wexford, and lived there for a few years. And then our kids were 2 and 4 when we moved here to Cornwall, and that was back in 2007 that we made the move after my mother died. And,
you were born in Madrid, raised in Chicago. Tell us about that.
Yeah, my mother was American, but lived a lot of her life in Spain. Well, not a lot. She lived 5 years in Spain, and that's where I was born. My father was Spanish, but the relationship didn't work out, and so she took me back to America with her when I was 2 years old, to Chicago, which was her hometown. And I grew up in Chicago, and then when I was a teenager still, I was in college, and my mother and stepfather, who's English, went to live here in Cornwall, which is where he'd been living originally. And although I think he's a Yorkshire man to begin with, so all kinds of influences. But anyway, yeah, so then I wound up moving to Ireland with my husband, who's Irish. And then, as I say, after my mother died, we moved here to Cornwall to what used to be her house. So I'm surrounded by all my mother's things now, a lot of which came over from the USA, way down here in West Penwith. So lots of influence.
So growing up, was there always music around? Were your family musical?
Oh yeah, hugely. My mother was kind of I mean, she just played music for fun, not professionally, but she played the piano and she played the guitar, and she taught me how to play both instruments. And some of my earliest memories are I used to after I went to bed, she'd sit in the next room and play her guitar and sing, and I used to call out requests. And then other kinds of music as well. My cousin is a classical musician. He used to be the musical education director of the Dallas Symphony Orchestra, and now he's teaching in Boston. And then another cousin is kind of an indie rock musician. He has a band called Mice Parade. They're quite successful, and he runs a record label as well. And then my uncle writes musicals, musical theater.
Wow.
Brilliant.
So it's all over the place, wildly eclectic, but that's the way we like it.
Now, I remember hearing you one time doing a cover of one of my all-time favourite songs, the Bobby Gentry classic, Ode to Billy Joe. That's a great song, isn't it?
Oh, it's such a great song. It does what all great songs do, which is it tells a story and it draws you in, and you find yourself thinking about it and kind of wondering about it and what happened. And yeah, I like to include at least one cover song on all of my albums. So this new one is going to be no exception. In fact, I'm covering 2 songs, neither of which I've recorded before, but I can't tell you what they are because it's a secret. Do the big reveal. But yeah, I think it's really nice if you're writing songs, if you're a songwriter, to try and get your head around somebody else's song as well and see what you can bring to their song that's a little bit new and different, and at the same time stay true to the spirit of the original. So that's what I tried to do.
So when you're not working on music, are you always listening to new music all the time?
Oh yeah. It's wonderful. And people complain about Spotify and all that kind of thing, streaming services, but for discovery of new music, they are wonderful. There's lots of music that I've got to hear that I probably wouldn't have come across if it weren't for the streaming services. So yeah, it would be nice if they paid a little more, but they are really good for connecting people with new music that they haven't heard before, especially when they can't go out and hear it live. They really do a service.
And of course, we can see behind you there, you've got a fabulous CD collection. So we'll play a little game now. I'm going to ask you to reach behind you and pull out one of the CDs, and we'll see what you have in your CD collection.
What's it going to be? What have we? Oh, Merle Haggard.
Wow. Country classics.
Oh, there we go. Poet of the Common Man, the very best of Merle Haggard. I told you my musical tastes were eclectic.
Okay, we'll get you to reach over the other side this time and pull out another one. What else have we got?
What are we going to get? This is a fun game. What have we got now? Debbie Harry.
Wow! Merle Haggard to Debbie Harry.
Fabulous.
Yeah, what can I say?
I'm enjoying this. We'll do one more, okay? Reach behind you and pull out one more. We could actually put together a Spotify playlist by doing this, couldn't we?
We actually, I keep meaning, I haven't done any Spotify playlists, and I keep kind of meaning to do it and thinking, I've really got to get that done. And this would be a good way to do it. Just reach randomly into the CD shelf. What have we got? Lasrina Camila. So there you go. She is from Connemara. So there you go.
Right, I got to check her out. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, do. Beautiful music. That's a lovely album. Flame of Wine, Flame of Wine is actually her name. It's what Lasrina means in Irish.
Aww.
Wow, sounds amazing. Well, do you know, Sarah, it's been great talking to you. Great meeting you. The new single, The Silence Above Us, is available right now. If people want to keep up to date with all the other releases, how do they do that?
All the links are right on my website. And my website is sarahmcquaid.com, SarahMcQuaid.com. And it's all there, YouTube and Facebook and Bandcamp and all the rest. Thank you so much.
Brilliant.
Thank you for joining us,
Thank
Sarah.
you.
Thank you both for having me on the program. It's been really lovely chatting to you. Thank you.
The tug of the moon is slowing us down. As centuries pass, it stretches our days. The years growing longer by such small degrees, we don't notice the change until noon comes a moment too late. So we make an adjustment in time at the end of the countdown, before all lang syne. 1 second to add before midnight, and then we all cheer with tears and with kisses. We greet the new year while the moon passes over us ever more distantly, pulling away as we turn towards the sunrise and night becomes day. We count up the lengthening hours that remain till the end comes too soon for an earth spinning under the tug of the moon.
Okay, now a new report reveals that house deposits, new cars and paying off debts are now in reach due to a nation of savvy spenders. This is research carried out by Smarty Mobile, and I'm pleased to say that we're going to find out more from Anna Richardson, who joins us on the line. Anna, how are you?
Hello guys, it's good to speak to you, and can I just say what a magnificent fire you've got going on behind you.
Thank you, it's very warm.
Well, that is your cue to take your clothes off, isn't it?
Yeah, if you want.
Don't encourage him, Anna. Don't encourage him.
I love that you're going, please no.
It is, it's very warm, but it's also very fake.
Oh, isn't everything these days? Isn't everything these days? But listen, yeah, thank you for mentioning about the fact that paying off your car or whatever it happens to be is now within reach. Really interestingly, Smarty Mobile, which is, if you don't know, is the network for conscious consumers, have just issued this new piece of research that shows that during lockdown, we've gone from being a nation of, sort of wanton spenders to actually being very, very clever savers. And 70% of Brits have managed to save quite a significant amount of money since last March, which I find extraordinary. And actually this will blow your mind, right? 69% of people have saved up to £10,000.
Wow.
I know.
That's impressive.
That is impressive. Look, it's important to say as well that there are, we've all struggled over lockdown without question. And it's really important to say that there are many people who aren't furloughed, who aren't working, who've had absolutely no help, freelancers and the like. I put myself in this category. If you work in broadcasting, it's very, very difficult. So there are plenty of people that haven't got money coming in. However, people are still saving. So, it's a fascinating bit of research that's come out.
The worrying thing for me, I found out that I'm actually spending more when I checked the bank account this week, all thanks to things like Amazon and eBay and stuff like that. I've kind of developed, I think, this kind of obsession with buying stuff off online at the moment.
Yeah, I've got a few tips for that, actually, because funnily enough, I'm also doing a show for Channel 4 at the moment called How to Save a Grand.
Right.
We are going into families' houses who have been struggling over lockdown, and we have been forensically going through their finances to show them that you can easily save £1,000 just by looking at things like your subscriptions, your Amazon Prime, or eBay, or whatever it happens to be. So we've been into houses where families have got 3 subscriptions going on and that they didn't realize. So for example, with Amazon, they didn't realize that 3 of them were paying for Amazon Prime. And it's just a bit like, guys, you can knock 2 of those on the head straight away. There's a load of subscriptions that you don't need. A lot of TVs, we know that actually, if you think about it, with Apple TV and whatever, with Netflix, you get a 30-day free trial. So just, binge watch all of your favourite movies for 30 days and then cancel the subscription. There's loads of little tips that we can be doing right now, that we can be utilising to just save a little bit more money.
And it's so easy as well not to cancel the subscriptions. That's the issue. Although the nation has saved most money by not eating out.
Now, you see, this really scrambled my head, because the number one top area for saving is food. So it's, let me just have a look at the statistics here. Yeah, so 80% of people have saved on food, and they're saving on average £80, £82 a month actually on average, not eating out. But not only that, they're not spending money on lunch. So that's an extra £40 a month not buying lunch. And they're not going for, believe it or not, brunch. So there's £36 a month not going out for brunch. Now this is significant, because if you think about that over the year, that's a couple of grand.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's just food. That's just eating out. So never mind when you get into commuting, which on average is around, people are saving around £50 a month not commuting, whether that's train tickets or petrol or whatever. So you can see how, with us being stuck here at home, we are actually managing to sort of hang on to some of that money that before we were just so easily sort of frittering away.
We discovered recently as well that now that we're in lockdown, and I've stopped buying takeaway coffees from the shops and the cafes and the garages and stuff, we're saving a fortune on coffee, aren't we?
I know. Do you know what? That's where I'm saving money as well. Because I'm locking down in the countryside, there is nowhere to go and get a takeaway coffee. So you're just having to rely on making yourself a cup of tea. And I have to say, think about it. You take a cup, because I was probably getting a couple a day. Yeah. And talking what? A good £7 or £8 a day?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Absolutely, and that all adds up. However, talking about the food takeaways, I think we have definitely eaten more takeaways than we normally would, and we're definitely saving on. We're definitely saving on going out for sure. So the takeaway industry has definitely taken off. They're bringing a packet in now.
They're cleaning up. They are cleaning up, as have actually those brands where they deliver all the ingredients to your door and then you cook from those ingredients at home.
Yes.
They're cleaning up as well, because people are spending more time at home cooking. So whether it's a takeaway for convenience or whether it's actually, starting from scratch, those companies are also cleaning up. But also another really great tip, if you are thinking about saving money and how you can cut those corners, a lot of people stay brand loyal to their supermarkets. And actually, I did a bit of research recently with another brand that showed that if you go to a budget supermarket and you go and get your basic groceries from a budget supermarket, whether it's your bread, your eggs, your vegetables, etc., you can save up to 20 quid on your basket.
Wow.
Exactly. Now you think about if you're a family of 5, you know, your basket's going to be massive. You're going to be saving quite a lot of money on your basket per month. So just, you know, a good tip for people is, you know, don't just think, oh, I'm going to go to one of the big 4 supermarkets because I always do. You know, think about going to one of the budget supermarkets, because for your basics, they're your basics. And you can save a huge amount of money.
All right, let's finish off by talking about you. You told us there about how to save £1,000. Anything else coming up on TV that we should know about?
We have got the best of Naked Attraction coming up.
Oh, woo! What a show.
What a show. And can I just say, the best of Naked Attraction is hilarious. It is it's one of the funniest things I've ever voiced in my I would prompt everybody to please watch that when it comes out, which will be coming out, I think, possibly in March. I'm not sure where the TX date is yet, but it will be coming out. It is really, really funny. And one of the other things that I'm very passionate about, which is a little bit more serious, is I run a mental health business as well called Mindbox. And we know that particularly with this 3rd lockdown, people are really struggling with their mental health, and particularly students. We know this. So it's really, really important that we're taking a little bit more care of ourselves, and that if you are feeling anxious or you are feeling stressed, there's loads of resources out there, lots of free resources as well. So it's important for people to just take care of their heads as well as their bodies.
Exactly. Well, Anna, it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thanks, Anna.
Thank you, guys, and look forward to seeing you again.
You too.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, let's meet our next guest, who is a Belfast businessman who's just launched a life coaching book specifically written to help people overcome self-limiting fear and lack of confidence. The book's called Fearless, by Tom Smyth, and I'm pleased to say Tom joins us on the line. Tom, how are you, sir?
I'm doing really good, thank you. How are you guys?
Very well, thank you. So before we talk about the book, let's talk about your business background, because you're the managing director of Dream Apartments. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, thank you for asking. So I own Dream Luxury Serviced Apartments. We are an accommodation provider. We started here in Belfast, which I'm proud to say. We provide accommodation for corporate and leisure guests all over the UK. We've now had this massive exponential growth, and we're now all over Europe. We also have partners in Dubai, America, and Brazil. At the minute, I suppose we're only dealing with corporate guests and key workers and essential industries. But yeah, I'm very proud to own the business. So
what about the pandemic? Has that hit you hard as a business?
Yeah, I suppose all of hospitality has been hit in a big way, including ourselves. I suppose if you looked at a pie chart of 100% business, we're probably going after about 3 or 5%. So our business is getting stronger because we're becoming more dynamic on how to go after business, but we're certainly not breaking records, but we will definitely be here when this all leaves us, and we continue to expand.
All right. Tell us a bit about your background in business. I mean, you started off at a very early age. Your first ever job was in a chippy, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, I was actually thinking about this yesterday. So I was quite the young entrepreneur. From the age of 7, I was going to Antrim Forest with my mummy and daddy, and I was picking conkers, and I was stringing these conkers and bringing them into school and selling them. At the age of 9, I was going to a local golf course, and the golfers that weren't getting past the first hole, a lot of their balls ended up in the first river before the hole. So I would have took the balls out and cleaned them and sold them to golfers the next day. So by the age of 10, I suppose I had my third job. I worked in a fish and chip shop. I peeled the potatoes, turned them into chips, and I would have put them into big baths. Sometimes we would have cracked the water because it was frozen. You'd have had to stand in a hot bucket of water, but I absolutely loved it. And I think you'd ask me, what did it teach me? You know, it taught me the value of having money as a young man and the freedom that would have given me, whether it was buying a pair of football boots, or simply looking at your money box, realizing I put that in there. So yeah, it was definitely the making of me as a kid.
So now you've written a book. Tell us about the book and what made you decide to write it.
So I've written a book called Fearless, and thanks to Amazon, it was supposed to come out this Sunday, but it's actually came a couple of days early, so it's available today, the order on paperback. I decided the day before lockdown last year, that I was going to do something different. I try to practice gratitude and positivity all the time with my staff and my family, especially around my wife and kids. So I decided to put a pen to paper, and I started writing a book the day before lockdown last year on the 26th of March.
So who is this book aimed at? Is it aimed at business people? Is it aimed at everybody? Who should pick up a copy of this book?
Yeah, the book, to be honest, it's aimed at everyone. You know, I have written core principles in it called Dream. So it was easy for me to remember because it obviously comes from my main foundation business. It's to help people. It's an antidote to self-doubt. I wrote it because everybody should actually fear less in life. And this has came from failures and mistakes that I've made. And I've simply put down in words how I can help other people. So, you know, if I sold 1 million copies and it helped one person, I would feel privileged. So that's why I wrote it.
Now, as well as the book, you've also signed this massive deal with the US billionaire Grant Cardone, haven't you? You're part of one of his mentors now, aren't you?
Yeah, so Grant Cardone has been my mentor. I have been reading his books, his material for quite a while. I listen to his books all the time on Audible to give myself advice because every day is a school day. 3 Fridays ago today, my wife was doing a yoga course, so I actually had a spare hour, and somebody called me from Miami at that Friday night, and I went, okay, what's this called? And they had said they had selected me and been monitoring me for the last year. So they've asked me to represent Grant and his team. That we want to represent and tell people and teach them what 10x means. 10x is one of his books that he wrote, and it's all about 10 times more effort in life, whether it's in a business or it's loving your wife or loving your husband. If you really want to succeed in life, if you do 10 times more or 100 times more, you will succeed. That also works in global pandemics or anything. If you put more effort in, you'll always win. So I've been hand selected for that, and I feel truly privileged, to be honest.
That's incredible. So how has the pandemic been for you personally then?
Well, I suppose I treat every day like it's a Sunday. I don't let it affect my mindset. You know, if I'm driving down the road and people say the roads are very quiet, in my brain, I'm telling myself it's a Sunday. In my business, we practice government guidelines, everything that we should be doing to promote health and safety and protect our customers and our clients. But, you know, I'm not letting it beat me. I believe it's a mindset thing. And I also believe all of us are living in this abnormal world. But you know something, it's not abnormal. Or, you know, this isn't the real world that we live in. Our incredible normal life is coming back. And I can't wait. I believe there's a huge boom of prosperity coming. And it's going to be incredible. The normal life we all took for granted, all of us are wishing for it again. And I believe it's coming very soon.
But it's probably going to be better. So for people that are struggling out there, what advice would you give them?
I believe there's always the positive to find, you know, and I know people are furloughed and struggling and things, and it is very challenging for a lot of people. I totally understand that. But sometimes it can be the love of your pet, or a smile from your child, or a simple kind word from a stranger in the street. I think it's so important to stay busy for people that are on their own, get involved in podcasts, speak to people they haven't spoke to, and protect their own mental health. It's also our job to protect people around us. I send out positive messages every day to my staff, remind them how grateful I am, how grateful we are to have customers, even though it's not a lot. And it's important just to remember to find positivity wherever it may lie. And believe me, it's still there, you know.
We've talked a lot about being successful, and as you have been successful throughout your journey, but have you had the bad times as well? Have you had the really down times when you felt like giving up and things just weren't going right?
I suppose from the early age of 10 years old, I've woke up with this real burning desire of determination and say, you know, sometimes when one would say, where did we get you, son? And I take that as a compliment. like, of course I've had down times and hard times in my personal life and in business, but that's why I read the book. You know, I want people to fear less. I want people to have one of the core elements of my book, determination. You know, it's about not giving up. I practice consistency and being persistent in everything I do. I give everything 1,000,000,000%. So I've never let it affect me. I just keep going.
All right, well, the book is out now. It's available on Amazon and I suppose all good booksellers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm really looking forward to getting people's opinions and seeing what they think.
Great stuff.
Look forward to reading it.
Yep, look forward to reading it. And Tom, the very best of luck with it as well. And thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you both very much. Thank you. Please stay safe.